Well, that absolutely sucked. And you know what? I'm not all too surprised. Based off of the rosters heading into today's game, the Montreal Canadiens were destined to lose. And heck, you could even say they had an opportunity to lose by a much bigger margin than just 2-1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Because the Leafs, aside Austin Matthews, pretty much put out their regular old roster, and quite frankly, they were outmatching the Montreal Canadiens for the entire game. I'll be honest here and say that I had the game on in my household, but with all the information that we knew prior heading into it, I was like, okay, if the Montreal Canadiens find themselves a way to win, I'm gonna eat my hat. And I ended up, just cleaning my house for most of the time the game was going on. I had it on, of course. You know, I was listening to it, but I wasn't paying full attention to everything because why would I? Look at the rosters. Either way, roster deficiencies aside, if you had told me that the Toronto Maple Leafs with Morgan Rielly, John Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, if all these guys beat up on the Canadiens prospects with a score of, let's say, 5-1, or 6-1, or 7-1, I would have been like, okay, yeah, that's kind of expected based off of the caliber of talent that the Toronto Maple Leafs iced in this one. But miraculously, it's only 2-1. And I do think it was a miracle. You know why it was only 2-1 in this game? Because Jakub freaking Dobes is a monster. My gosh, I did not realize that this guy had it in him to step up and carry the play in the way that he did. I say carry the play, literally. The amount of game-breaking, game-saving stops that he had for the Montreal Canadiens, it was unbearably high. You don't want to see a goaltender be put into a position where he's getting these kinds of opportunities thrown against him, especially when it's like Tavares and Nylander and Marner. But Dobes had it. He was in there, he stuck around, and he made a total of 32 saves on 34 shots against. He could have had a lot more against him, honestly. Some of those grade A opportunities, the cross creases, the mini breakaways, he was stopping everything that moved. Meanwhile, the Montreal Canadiens, with a roster that boasted probably their best player in... Who was their best player today? Okay, it was Lane Hutson, yes. But that's on D. On forward, I mean, who stood out? Owen Beck, I thought, was okay. Oliver Kapanen did not have the same magic that he did in Game 1, but he was still fine, I'd say. Christian Dvorak scored a goal, which is good. He actually had the most ice time amongst forwards in this game. But all in all, this was a very forgettable Montreal Canadiens preseason game, and one that gets everybody to think, okay, yeah, this is what the preseason is about, right? You're supposed to use these games to evaluate who is good and who is bad and who deserves a chance to make the team in 2024-2025. All in all, though, the game was pretty boring. Let's talk about the goals that were scored in this one, starting out with the 1-0 goal scored by John Tavares on the power play. It's Tavares from Marner and Rielly. Does that surprise anybody that a trio like that on a Canadiens decor and penalty-killing unit that featured some of the prospects that it did? Does it surprise you that they were able to score? No, it probably doesn't. Marner with a beautiful pass to the back door to Johnny T, who's right there, plants it in. Christian Dvorak comes out of the box afterwards. That was on the power play. Give it into the second period for Dvorak to bounce back and actually have himself a redemption moment here. It's Max Pacioretty for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who is in the Leaf zone on the half boards. Yeah, that's right, Max Pacioretty, baby. He is the newest Toronto Maple Leaf. He sends the puck across to Morgan Rielly, but Rielly fumbles it. It's picked up by Alex Barré-Boulet, thrown out in front for Christian Dvorak, who goes onto the backhand and dekes it right through Anthony Stolarz. Beautiful goal scored by the Montreal Canadiens. It's almost like Max Pacioretty never left. Okay, was that a low blow? Maybe a little bit too early, right? Sorry. But Pacioretty kind of had the primary assist in this one as his pass was fumbled away by Morgan Rielly. Christian Dvorak, though, gets the goal, and I think this was something that he kind of needed, especially when you consider a lot of the discourse surrounding him and his name the past few days. Oh, Oliver Kapanen is so good. Christian Dvorak has to step up or else his spot is going to be given away. He's going to get traded. He's going to get this. He's going to get that. He's not good, not good. And then he scores a goal in the preseason. Okay, good. Finally, you're getting up on there. Give it a few minutes, though, and the Dobes show starts in full throttle here. The Habs take a bunch of penalties. The Maple Leafs have their power play units. They're putting shots on goal on Dobes like crazy, and eventually one goes towards the end of the second period. It's Nick Robertson with an amazing individual effort. Putting aside the fact that he injured William Nylander, Nick Robertson had a beautiful, beautiful moment in this game where he was hard on Adam Engstrom, Canadiens D-man in his own zone. Robertson, though, relentless with a beautiful stick lift to steal the puck away from Engstrom, steal the puck, walk right in, thwart off the defense, and then just put it by Jakub Dobes. Did this one go 5-hole, or was it low blocker? I'm not too sure, but it's a beautiful play there. You'll love to see the work ethic from Nick Robertson. Sorry, Adam Engstrom, but he kind of got caught lacking there. You can't be lackadaisical when trying to break the puck out and you have a Maple Leaf right behind you. Nick Robertson, I felt, stood out in this game in more ways than one, but none more than that goal that he had scored to make it 2-1. The Maple Leafs had a total of 34 shots on goal. The Canadiens only had 17, so literally the Leafs doubled Montreal in shots. But all in all, that game kind of sucked, and it was really the Jakub Dobes show. I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to him because, I mean, look, he's 23 years old, big dude, drafted by the Canadiens in the 2020 draft in the 5th round, and he's coming off a season in the Laval Rocket where he was pretty solid, a .906 save percentage in 51 games played. This is all coming after 2 strong years with the Ohio State University Buckeyes system in the NCAA. So this is a guy who, coming out of the Czech Republic system, has really started to turn some heads. And I think heading into the next few years here, you gotta be on the lookout for Jakub Dobes. Sure, everybody in Montreal loves Samuel Montembeault. Some believe in Cayden Primo still. Everybody's talking about Jacob Fowler, but Dobes, man. If he's able to take charge against Tavares, Nylander, and Marner in the ways that he did today, stopping a lot of these really nice open opportunities in front, just making the right saves that he needs to make. Sure, you would probably like to see him not let in the Robertson goal. That was kind of on a bad angle, but other than that, Dobes was as perfect as he kind of needed to be to give the Canadiens a fighting shot and allow them to still continue only down by 1 for most of the game. Lane Hudson, I felt, was the only, good player on the Canadiens in terms of skaters. He, of course, was dominating a lot of the shifts offensively, as he always does, but the rest of the squad here, I mean, kind of underwhelming from some of these other guys. I will say, I did like Tuck, too. There were a few rush chances that he had, opportunities where he's driving wide and cutting towards the goal. A lot of that effort and intensity is something that I think the Canadiens and the rest of the Canadiens could use heading into the next few years. So, for Luke Tuck, as we had said in the last video, if he's able to continue playing similarly to Alex Tuck, then I think there's a lot of value that he could bring to an NHL roster one day, whether that's on the 3rd line or the 4th line or whatever, sometime in the next few years. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Montreal Canadiens' defeat at the hands of the Toronto Maple Leafs, 2-1 in regulation. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.